Today we're diving into Surah Al Emran, the third chapter of the Quran. Now, this isn't just a list of rules or verses. Think of it more like a rich, woven story, full of theology, history, and some really profound spiritual guidance. We're going to unpack its stories and its lessons, so let's get right into it.
Aleph, Lam, Mim. Mysterious, right? Their exact meaning is something known only to God, and this immediately sets this tone of awe and divine mystery. But right after that, boom, a clear, powerful declaration of God's oneness. From the very first verses, the chapter establishes itself as the absolute truth, sent down to confirm and clarify everything that came before.
So, to help us navigate this incredible chapter, here's our roadmap. We'll start with the core beliefs, the divine truths. Then we'll journey through the amazing story of the family of Imran. After that, we'll look at the surah's dialogues on faith, uncover the powerful lessons learned from tough times, and finally, discover what it means to be on the path of the steadfast. All right, first up, let's talk about the foundations. This part of the surah really lays down the bedrock of faith and explains the nature of Scripture itself. You know, a key insight here is that the Quran isn't presenting itself as something brand new, but as the final piece in a long chain of divine messages. It's called the Furqan, the ultimate standard. Think of it like the final high-definition lens that brings all the previous messages from God into perfect, clear focus.
Okay, this is a really fascinating point the surah makes. It tells us there are two types of verses in the Quran. First, you have the muhkamat. These are the clear bedrock verses. Their meaning is unmistakable, they're the foundation. But then you have the mutashabihat, which are more allegorical, more symbolic. And these verses are actually a kind of test, you know? They challenge us to go deeper and to interpret them with a pure and sincere heart.
Now, we get to the narrative heart of the surah, the part that actually gives the chapter its name. This is where all that theology we just talked about comes to life through the story of a truly incredible family. And the whole story kicks off with this incredibly powerful moment of faith, a mother's prayer from the heart. This is the mother of Mary, dedicating her unborn child completely to God's service. This one single act of pure devotion is like the first domino that sets all the miracles that are about to happen into motion. And you see the result of that devotion right away. Mary grows up, and she's under God's special care. I mean, even her guardian, the prophet Zechariah, is just blown away by the miracles surrounding her. He finds she has food that couldn't possibly have come from him. It's a sign of her unique status long before she would become the mother of Jesus. And then comes the moment, the Annunciation, when angels deliver this news to Mary. But pay close attention to how Jesus is described here, a word from him. This wording is so specific. It's meant to emphasize his miraculous creation, coming directly from God's command, without any human father. And to really help us grasp the scale of this miracle, the surah makes a really powerful comparison. It says, look, the creation of Jesus without a father is just like the creation of Adam, who didn't have a father or a mother. Both are simply proof of God's limitless power. When he decides something, he just says, be, and it is. It's as simple as that for him. So after telling this incredible story, the surah naturally pivots. It moves from storytelling into a direct dialogue. The story of Jesus is the perfect jumping-off point to engage with other communities of faith, especially Christians and Jews, called the people of the book, to talk about the real basis of true belief. Now, this isn't a challenge or an argument. It's an invitation. It's an open hand. The surah is calling everyone to find common ground, a common word that can unite us all. And what is that word? It's the simple, powerful core belief in one God. It's a call to get back to that original pure message. And the ultimate model for this pure faith? It's what the Quran calls the Creed of Abraham. Abraham is described as a Hanif, meaning he was a pure monotheist. He submitted to God long before the formal religions we know today even existed. This is the universal faith, the original blueprint that the surah is inviting everyone back to. Okay, so the surah has covered deep theology and these beautiful, miraculous stories. But life isn't always like that, right? It's also about hardship, about facing trials. And a huge part of this chapter is dedicated to analyzing a moment of crisis and pulling out timeless lessons from it. The historical event for these lessons is the Battle of Uhud. Now, after a huge victory at a battle called Badr, the early Muslims faced a near-total disaster at Uhud. And instead of just sweeping the setback under the rug, the Quran does something amazing. It puts it under a microscope and uses it as a case study to teach some really profound lessons about faith, discipline, and finding wisdom in our struggles. So the surah breaks down the whole experience into these four powerful stages. First, there was the promise. Remember that victory only comes from God, not from your own strength or numbers. Then came the test, a moment of disobedience, a desire for worldly gain, and that led to the setback. Which brings us to the core lesson. Hardship is like a fire that burns away impurities and reveals who has true faith. And finally, there's mercy. A beautiful reminder that even after we stumble, the door to God's forgiveness is always, always open.
You see, in the chaos of that battle, a rumor spread that the Prophet Muhammad had been killed. And for a moment, everything fell apart. Morale just shattered. This verse was revealed in that moment to pull everyone back to what really matters. It's such a powerful reminder for all time. Messengers are human, they come and go, but the message from God is eternal. Our faith has to be in God, not just in one person. So, where does all of this leave us? We've had theology, history, trials. Now, let's bring it all together. How do we actually live a life of faith and purpose? The surah gives us a very clear profile of what it calls the steadfast.
The first step on this path, the journey to steadfastness, actually begins with reflection. The surah tells us to just look up at the sky, at the stars, to look at the world around us, to see the signs of a creator in the incredible design of the universe. That feeling of awe is really the foundation of a much deeper faith.
And from that sense of awe, the next quality naturally resilience. You see, true faith isn't just some idea in your head. It's something you show through patience and perseverance when life inevitably gets tough.
And when you have that awe for creation and that resilience through your trials, what's the natural next step? You turn to God. It all culminates in prayer. The steadfast are the ones who are in constant communication with their Creator, asking for forgiveness, for guidance, and for the strength to stay on the path.
And then the surah gives us this beautiful, practical checklist for a righteous character. These aren't just abstract ideas, they're active qualities we need to build in ourselves. Being patient when things are hard, being truthful in everything we say, being obedient to God, being generous with what we have, and having the humility to seek forgiveness, especially in those quiet, early moments before dawn. It's a complete guide to a meaningful life.
And the whole chapter wraps up with this powerful call to action. It basically gives us 4 pillars for 1, persevere in your faith. 2, endure the challenges. 3, remain united and vigilant as a community. And 4, always be mindful of God. That, it says, is the real path to success in this life and in the next.
So, Surah Al Emran takes us on this incredible journey, from the very nature of God, through the lives of prophets, into the heart of a difficult battle, and deep into the soul of a believer. And it leaves us with this final, profound question to really think about. When we take the time to reflect on the universe around us, the lessons from history behind us, and the true state of our own hearts within us, how does that change everything about our search for meaning?